Welcome to the Real Joe Show, where we speak with industry leaders to learn about their tips, tricks, roadblocks, and successes in an ever challenging real estate market. On this episode, we are super honored to have Shelley Zavitz, who is a successful realtor in Portland, Oregon. She is an author, a national speaker, and today on this show, we will be discussing what branding really means, and maybe if we can get through that, how to move from being a transactional agent to actually running your business. So let's welcome Shelley. Shelley.
Hi, I like that music.
Isn't that funky?
Yeah,
Did you
it's
get
kind of
the
rocky.
air guitar up?
I was
rocking it?
Yeah.
Great.
I actually was like, when you were introducing me, I'm like, yeah.
Did I get it all right? Did I miss anything?
No, thank you. It was amazing. Thank you very much. And thanks for having me here.
It's a super honor. We were fortunate enough to meet you when we were at a conference in Connecticut.
That's right.
You were one of the speakers. I met you through Katie Clancy, and we dug right into running a business. And it was
we got deep almost right away, you and I.
It was, so it's a natural fit here. I'm super happy to have you on. So let's jump in. Let's talk about the two books you wrote. I read the second one, and that's the main topic today, or at least one of the main topics today. But why don't you tell us about how you got into the writing of it and what they're about?
So my background is in radio broadcasting. And what I did for about 15 years was help in Canada. Did you hear? I almost had the boot. Did you hear it? Almost. It was almost there. So I worked in broadcasting, and my job was essentially to help radio stations find their voice. And if everybody was dropping the new Lady Gaga, how were we going to make it so that they chose? And at that time was either the Beat or Virgin Radio. And I got to know what it would take for somebody to choose us. And then I also helped Whistler FM launch their radio station, and I made a whole bunch of mistakes in the launch of their stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, like I was just like learning like crazy. But my sole goal was, how do I make it so the advertisers and the radio stations made an impact in the community, right? So when I became a real estate agent, I moved down to the United States in 2015. I wrote the first book, it's mostly a joke book / storytelling about my first couple years in real estate and how many mistakes I made.
Yeah, I imagine the jokes have some pain points in them, I'm sure.
12 straight chapters of what not to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to my surprise, that sold very well, and it continues to sell. If you have bought that book, thank you so much for supporting us. And then that led into my next book, which was Marketing That Moves People. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yes,
and essentially it was this. Once I got into my 4th and 5th year, when I became a profitable company, right? It's just me, but I am a company, right? And once I became a profitable company, it was like, okay, how do I continue to attract people to my business? Same thing I was doing in radio. How do I attract? So I applied the same methods, and it started to work. And now I'm very proud to say I wear this like a badge of honor. I'm 100% referred agent.
Nice.
And the reason why that is important, and anyone cares, is not because I'm popular. It's because that is the fastest way to a net profit.
Yay.
Right?
So what does that mean? No, don't answer that yet. Don't answer that yet. That's chapter 2.
That's when we're making money.
So here's the big question. I had this conversation with an agent yesterday, and it's all about branding. And there are several ways branding can be interpreted. I'd love to hear from you. What should an agent consider true branding? Is it the logo and their pretty, the way they write their name? Is it the name of the colors they use? Is it who they are? Does the company matter behind them? I'd love you to talk about what an agent consider when they hear branding without all the BS.
Okay, no BS.
No,
straight up.
I know you're going to give it straight, but there's so much BS out there.
I will give it straight. Okay, so if we're thinking of there's there's three different things going on here. There's the
Yes.
brokerage brand, and then there is us in the market being little foot soldiers for our clients, right? We're the guides. And if you are out there as yourself, you have a persona, and your persona should meet a promise. And what a brand is when I show up in a room, that your perception of what my promise is actually who I am.
Okay.
So
okay, keep going. I'll wait.
Okay. So for instance, when I was deciding who I was going to be in real estate in Portland, Oregon, I was like, okay, well, these are the people that I would like to work with. So I chose a niche. That's not a new concept.
Right.
And I said, okay, well, what do they need? What do they want? How do they feel about real estate? How internally are they looking out at the market? And then how can I fill that need? Right. So I chose 3 words, and this is what I used to do in radio too. You know, Virgin was fun. The Beat was fun. Like we had filter words that if anything didn't match what our brand promise was, we didn't post it. We didn't do it, period. So I do the same thing. So I am supportive. I'm a guide, and I'm fun. Because I mean, why are we in a house if we can't have fun? This is an exciting time for somebody. So when they meet me, they should see all of those things, because that's my brand promise. I promise that I'm going to support you through this process. I'm going to guide you the best that I can. And I'm going to tell you the truth. That's where trust lives, right? And we're going to have fun. Every single thing that I do, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, when they go to work tomorrow, what do I want them to say about this experience? That's what branding is.
That's great.
It is, how do I make somebody else go to work and tell my story? That's what referrals are. Mm-hmm. So when we get all mixed up in the, hey, I'm going to post the evidence of success, and we need to do that, right? We need to show people that we're successful, because it proves to people that we're good at our jobs. But if that's the only thing you're doing,
right,
you know, then you're just kind of looking pompous and, hey, look at me.
And what about evidence of success? Is that saying, hey, I'm $1 million producer, or hey, I just sold a $2 million house? Or is it, this is what I did for my client? This is how I help the client.
I think it's the latter. And I kind of go about it. If you look at my Instagram, you'll see my home inspector on there on the regs. He told me early on, we both kind of started together. Like he was just launching his business and I was too. And I said, we were just sitting there one day, because I go to my home inspections because I'm the guide. I need to be in the home inspections if I'm going to guide well. I don't ever pass these things off, because those are the moments where I can show and prove to people what my brand promise is. So we were just in there, and he's like, one day I want to be a stand-up comedian. I'm like, well, let's start that right now. So every time that I have a home inspection, he tells me a dad joke, and I post it. Nice. But what am I actually really doing? I'm telling all of my sphere that someone is under contract, that someone is having a home inspection, right, and they're doing that with me. And I'm not out there like, hey, I sold this house in 10 minutes in a market that sells in 10 minutes, you know, because you can't have a brand promise that someone feels is irrelevant or that they can do. And that we did that a lot during COVID as an industry. We said, you know, this house sold in 33 seconds. Well, you're basically telling sellers that they don't need you. That's right. That's a bad brand promise. that's not a good story.
That, right? And how many times you want to repeat that same thing over and over and over again? I got above asking. I got 2 days, 1 hour. It's
right. Right. So what right now in the market, as it changes, now that is a good promise and brand story to tell somebody. Now, if you're selling at list price or above, and you're selling it faster than whatever your numbers are in your market, here it's still 17 days, but it's going to hit a month for sure very soon here. And if I'm selling it, if I've told them you will sell your house and I will do everything to make sure you sell your house by the second weekend, I'm going to do everything to make sure that happens so that when they go to work, they say, Shelley did what she said.
Yeah.
That's where you really gain traction in your business. It's not being out there. And, there's a lot of educating going on. I know that that's the new thing. Get on video and educate about the market. Yes, know your numbers, but you also have to know yourself. You have to do the work to be like, okay, who am I in my market?
Right. So let's go to the second part of my question was, when someone says branding, most agents, most companies, when they're selling their services, they talk about branding.
Mm-hmm.
Does that matter? Does it matter if they have a pretty color or a unique name other than their own name, which is pretty unique? Does any of that matter?
I think it's only if you include it in everything that you do. For instance, Joe Scott uses orange. And he uses orange in a very intentional way, right? Like, Dwell is black. If I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to put black on everything, no one's going to care at all. But if you're intentional, Sabrina Brown too, she uses pink, and they're active in the way that they use it, and it's part of the brand story altogether, then yes, that makes sense. But if you're just relying on, the sandwich board outside to bring in customers, I just don't think you'll see the attraction. I'm happy to be proved wrong by that, but
so that's, you and I both know Joe Scott, and many
great
don't.
guy.
So he hits, and his branding, everything is orange. There's no story behind that except it relates to him.
Yeah.
There's no, I'm orange, so hire me.
Right. No.
It's just, he always has either orange sneakers, orange shirt, orange belt. Is something when he's dressing. It's subtle, but it's consistent.
Yeah. And that right there is the word. That's what makes branding work, is consistency. So for instance, like when I was working in radio, we would always say anybody who didn't have like an offer to give that was immediate, like come to the dealership by Friday to get X. If you were just doing a branding campaign, you had to be on for a year, and you had to be on every week doing the same thing. And we would, cycle you through the different, morning, midday, afternoon. But the idea was to try and hit people as many times as we could with the same message. Because people, if you say something to somebody, they don't retain it right away. You have to say it several times over and over and over again. And I can tell you that the salespeople that sold airtime, the ones that just were like, oh yeah, no, you can do a branding campaign in 2 weeks, they didn't make it in our industry because people stopped trusting them because they gave all that money and nothing happened. There was no return that they could draw a line to.
So can you back up on that? So if you want to have an impact, what you're saying is, I believe what I'm hearing is, if somebody wants to have an impact on a shorter term, they have to have a call to action.
Yes, you do.
Or if they're trying to build a brand, you got to give it time.
Yeah, because your receiver the whole time they're listening, but they're like, what's in it for me? And if there's no answer to that, that's immediate, they're not going to act. And also if you're, putting up yourself next to your sign, you have to have a call to action with that too. Why are you telling me that you're next to a sign right now? What is in that for me? What's in it for me could be, if it was that, if you're still renting, you could do this too. And I will show you how to do it. Call me X, Right. But there has to be the follow-up. It can't just be like, yo, here I am, because nobody's watching.
That's right.
I hate to say it. And me too. No one's watching me either.
Yeah, that's a very humbling, and we do these shows with the hopes that somebody's going to watch them.
Sure.
I know there's value in them, especially with the talent I have on with you here. Thanks. And people should be listening to it.
Flattery gets you everywhere.
I'm not gonna wake up tomorrow morning and see how many views we got and all that stuff. It's out there. It's great content. If somebody watches it, fantastic.
Right.
So yeah, that's great. The company behind the agent, regardless, let's not talk about like there's a range of services companies offer.
Sure.
But regardless of that, does the brand of the company make or break an agent?
In my opinion, no.
Okay.
You are the work you do.
Right.
So the agent has to do the work, and we can't be sitting around waiting for our brokerages or our managers to give us leads. I mean, that's not the way to a profitable company. This is how we started it, right? What is the point of all of this if we are not trying to be a profitable company? To net a profit. And if you're kind of sitting back and you're saying, you know, I'm really upset with my brokerage because of X, Y, Z, and I'm not profitable, you got to go back to how you're running your company. How expensive is it for you to start a conversation with somebody? Because that's what a lead is, right?
Right.
And your branding should be, the whole point is to drive traffic. You don't sell houses in your branding. You don't buy houses in your branding. You attract people to your business. So if we have a whole bunch of people attracting to our businesses and we have conversations going, the brokerage really has nothing to do with that. Your brokerage brand should align with your brand promise. Like if they're out there, if you're like, I'm community and I really want to be something fantastic in our community, and your brokerage does not align with things like that, that's probably not a good thing. Like it has to marry a little, you know?
Yeah. Right.
I would say when I first started, I worked for a housing company, and I worked for a housing company because they were intricate with the community. They were just all about it. And the person that ran the company, his name was Mike, and he to all of us was like, go out there and be good humans and you will make money. And I was like, yes, that resonates with me. I'm not here to make $1 gazillion. That's not why I do this. I do this because I want to make a mark in somebody's life. That's just a core value of mine. It's why I do this, you know? And I think that when it comes to looking at the brand you're working for, all you need to ask yourself is, does it align with my 3 filter words? After that, it's all you. You are the attraction. You're the show.
You made I totally agree with that. You made a good point too, with
Thank goodness.
Your, yeah.
It's like, and this interview is over.
Yeah, that's right. You made a huge statement, and I'm not sure people, either they didn't hear it or they're not going to believe it. You said you're in this not to make money, but to serve people.
100%. Yeah. It's not a lie. When I wake up, that's what I do. Yeah.
Okay. You still want to make a profit.
Yeah, but if I serve really well, I make a really good profit. Happy to give you my P&L. Things are going great.
Good. Yeah, P&L, what's that? Well, wait, before we get into that. So, what many agents are the converse of what you're talking about as far as doing what's right, doing serving, are agents that are trying to maximize the amount of transactions they do. They're trying to shove everything through the sausage grinder and sure, put as much in as they can. What's wrong with that?
If it costs you
more money,
if it costs you too much to attract that lead, it's not worth it. It's as simple as that. If it costs me, let's say my commissions are going to be, let's do something, $10,000. I'm going to make 1/3 of that, right? So if 1/3 is going to the tax guy and 1/3 is giving expenses away, and it costs me too much to attract that lead in the first place, am I really netting anything? And if your whole value system in your business is about the scoreboard, I mean, that's great. It feels good. It's nice to be a top producer. Not really interested in that myself. I don't view that as a success. I'm like, how can I get a net profit and buy assets so I can retire?
So
that's all I care about. Whatever else anybody else is doing, I don't even pay attention.
So if there is a way in which you could still provide that phenomenal service, be that true person that's giving to your clients and making sure they're getting a great experience, and do a bunch of transactions, Would that work for you?
Oh yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I know exactly how much I have to do the things I want to do in life.
Good.
It's mapped out. If you're just kind of like waking up and hoping the market feeds you, that's a really rough way to live. I would think that it would feel pretty terrible and kind of scary, and you're reactive all the time. But if you're running yourself like, okay, I have a P&L. I know exactly how much I have to make this year to do the things that I said I wanted to do financially. Take the trips, max out the 401k, buy the properties.
Nice. All right.
Right?
Before we get into P&L, and I think we're going to say this until the very end and not get into it, because there's so much to keep going on this. So you mentioned shifting markets.
Yes.
So it's always a shifting market, whether it's going up, down, sideways, and sticking on branding, sticking on marketing on that topic. What should agents think about in a shifting market? Should they look for the next shiny object, or what should they do? And
it's actually a really simple answer, and it's not very expensive, and you just tell the truth. You tell the truth. You are consistently in front of your people. I like the pop, pop, bang theory, where you connect, start conversations, and then you give them something of value, maybe it's information, maybe it's just an experience with you. And then after that, you just invite them to your space so that they feel comfortable coming into your house and knowing who you are. Because people work with who they know, like, trust. Like we kill that statement all the time, but it really is just that. Yeah. So if we're out there like, oh man, I got to do all these things. No, you don't. What you could do, and this is what because I'm a one-man show, right? Like there's no way that I can keep up with all of the marketing things that are possibilities in life. I know that my sphere mainly uses Instagram. They're not on TikTok, and they all, for some reason, hate Facebook. I don't know why. So I don't even bother with Facebook, really. Like it goes there, but I don't spend any time. Most of my conversations are from my stories and Instagram. And it's a peppering. So on the post, there'll be videos or postings that reiterate my brand story. It usually does not have my face on it sometimes, but not really. And then in the stories, it's just a peppering of my 3 words: support, guide, fun. And everybody knows that I like music. So it'll have music in there. And all I'm trying to do is reiterate to somebody who I am and what they believe my persona is. And my persona is not that far away from the actual person. I can be a little moody. Don't put that on social media.
So you're a referral only. All your business is referral.
Yeah.
Market starts to slow down. Your pipeline starts to shrink because the market slows down.
Yep.
Do you then say, hey, I'm going to start buying leads, or hey, I'm going to start spending money on ads online and trying to grab random people?
No.
Or do you go deeper with the people that you already know, or try to expand that sphere?
To be honest with you, in the last 2 years, I haven't had to do much. I could throw something up on Instagram that was funny, and I would usually get between 10 and 15 people saying something to me in a DM on Instagram. Great conversations. Yeah. And then I didn't really have to do it because everyone wanted to know about the market. Oh my gosh, I can't believe so-and-so. And I would put up like funny memes about like what it would be like to be a buyer's agent that weekend. And it would be like somebody like taking like a deep dive on a huge surf or something. People are like, ha, 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 is it really that bad? And then I could talk about real estate with them.
Right.
So now in the changing market, there's a lot of fear. Mm. And the last thing that I need to do is add to the worry machine. Because my whole goal right now is if I have confident buyers and sellers, we have a confident market and it continues to roll. So I am doing a little bit of educating, but what I really am, I haven't had time in the last 2 years to like sit with people. I didn't do my bellies to bellies. I wasn't meeting with people in person as much because I didn't have time. Now I do. So now I'm starting all of that back up again. Come to my house. Let's go for dinner. Hey, do you want to? I do a lot of walk and talks because I can only have so much coffee. So, and then I have probably, I try to book at least 5 walk and talks. You know, hey, do you want to go out to whatever park and hang out? And I just started doing the exact same things that worked before this market went bananas will work again.
Yeah.
As long as I stay confident and tell the truth. Shelley, what's happening in the market right now? People are always going to ask me that. I need to know my numbers. Well, I will tell you that the months of inventory went from 0.5/0.8 from March and May to now we're at 2. A seller's market is somewhere, or sorry, a neutral market is somewhere between 3 and 4 months. So we're headed towards a neutral market, but right now we're still in a seller's market. It will take about 2 weekends heading north, like we'll probably get to about a month. So it's going to take you a month to sell your house, but you'll still sell it at list price so far. I'll let you know if that changes. I haven't seen anything happen with values here in Portland, and that's different all over the place.
Every place is different. Absolutely.
But they're consuming national news.
That's right.
And the national figures are not what's happening locally. So be the ambassador. You are the community. You are your community's reference. Be the reference, but go into it with honesty. If the market is dropping, tell the truth. I'll tell you right now, this is a time where you need to be holding. With my own investments, I am working on paying down my debts because we don't have crystal balls.
Right.
So this is what I'm doing. Do you want me to help you do that? As long as you are for your client always, they're going to come back to you. And it might not be their time to buy or sell. And it's okay to say that. You are a fantastic real estate agent if you tell somebody this isn't your market.
Right. Yeah, great. So it's not time to panic.
No.
Don't start buying leads. If you're already doing business by referral, if you're not doing business by referral, start doing business by referral.
Yeah.
That's the best thing to do.
Well, do a profit. If you do your numbers and you look at how much it costs to attract somebody to your business, and at the end of that number, if it's a minus, you have to make changes anyways because you're going to be working till you're 95.
Right.
Nobody
How
wants
often do you look at your profit and loss statement?
Every month.
Every month.
Yeah. I do my numbers every month just because, I mean, this market changes all the time. My business flow changes all the time. I have to know how to manage it. And then I would say too, and I'm fortunate for this, is that I have been able to save both personally for anything that could happen. But then I also have a second savings for my business. So anybody that I should be paying, for instance, the photographer later, or if I expect to like do more marketing or I'm going to have an event, that I have saved for that for the next 4 quarters.
So you're not running to the bank every time you get a check.
No.
Fantastic.
It's too stressful. I can't be present with you here if I'm worried about when I'm going to get paid next and who's going to eat.
Clients can smell that too.
Oh yeah. Commission
Absolutely.
breath. Stinks.
Absolutely. So Shelley, I knew this would happen. I predicted it. We're cutting into 30 minutes and we both have to run off to something else. And there's so much I'd love to dig into more, profit and loss and running a business and measuring your return on investment and actually running a business as opposed to being in the transaction, which most agents unfortunately get stuck in doing. But before we leave and say goodbye to that, I'm not going to ask you to promise to come back on. I'll
come back. Are you kidding?
You will?
Anything for you. Promise.
That's fantastic. So did we miss anything that you'd want to say about branding and about branding?
Branding is a lot of work. It is not something you just throw up on a wall and hope for the best. You have to be very clear about who you are, where you want to live in your market, and what story you're telling people, with the intention that that story is told to somebody else. That's the game. That's it. It's that simple. So if your story is not compelling enough, it needs to be rewritten.
And thank you for that. I am going to share the links to your book, Marketing, and the name of the book is?
Marketing That Moves People.
That's right.
It also includes music, because
that's right. It is. It's a fun read. It's on point, and if you're a real estate agent, it'll definitely get you thinking to really look at who you are, what you're trying to accomplish, and what your brand really is. So, Shelley, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. This was fun. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.